I have an option to like this.
Please join our welcoming song. You are welcome here, wherever you're going to, wherever you're coming from. You are welcome here. You are welcome here, wherever you're going to, wherever you're coming from. You are welcome here, 'cause it's a house of love. It's a house of love, and you are welcome here. Yes, it's a house of love, a house of hope and dreams. It's a house of love, and you are welcome here. And now in Spanish. Bienvenido aquí, doquiera que vayas tú, doquiera que vengas hoy. Bienvenido aquí, bienvenido aquí, doquiera que vayas tú, doquiera que vengas hoy. Bienvenido aquí a este lugar de sueños e ilusión. Es un lugar de amor. Bienvenido aquí, sí, es un lugar de amor, de sueños e ilusión. Es un lugar de amor. Bienvenido aquí.
Good morning. Welcome to Chalice Unitarian Universalist Congregation. We are a community of diverse beliefs and experiences, nurturing the liberal religious spirit and united by our desire to grow in love and in service. We celebrate the lives of all people and their ways of expressing their care for each other. Whether it's your first time in worship or your 100th time, we're glad that you're here. I'm June Bailey, the worship associate today. Our service is being led by our minister, Reverend Sharon Wylie. Our worship musician this morning is Tim McKnight, and our song leader is Jeff Hayes. Our tech team is Dean Gadet and Sarah Komnick, and our greeter is Ann McKernan. Welcome to our Sunday worship service. Welcome to those of you here in the chapel, and welcome to those of you joining us on Zoom. We welcome children in our community and here in our worship. Please talk with our Director of Family Ministries, Kathleen Swift, to learn more about our programs for children. Childcare for our youngest children is always available during services. Today is our monthly all-church worship service, when we worship together in ritual and story, moving our bodies and celebrating the joys in our diverse community. In many faith and cultural traditions, this is the season to remember and honor our ancestors and beloved dead. Today, we gather for our annual remembrance service in memory and celebration of those who have gone before us. For those of us here in the chapel, you will notice we have the windows open. This is to ensure good air circulation in the room. There are also 4 air purifiers in the room. Please feel free to leave the chapel if you are uncomfortable for any reason. You will be able to hear what is happening inside while you're outside on the courtyard. We're always delighted having newcomers join us in worship. As a newcomer, you might be interested in the groups and activities we offer. A good way to get information is through our email newsletter and e-news calendar. Online newcomers will receive an email invitation to join our email list after the service. In-person newcomers, if you haven't already given us your email address when you signed in, please share it before you leave. Our weekly email is the best way to get information about the many groups and activities we offer here at Chalice. Now, let's take a breath together.
We begin our service by acknowledging that wherever each of us is watching, if we are in what is now called the United States, then we are on land stolen from indigenous peoples. Our congregational home in what is now called Escondido is on land that is part of the traditional territories of the 12 bands of the Kumeyaay Nation and the 7 bands of the Payam-Kuwicham, also called Luiseño. Land that is sacred to us now was stolen from people for whom that land was and is still sacred. In recognition that we are the beneficiaries of a history of colonization, we have made financial donations in the past year to 2 local indigenous-led organizations, Kumeyaay Community College and the Palma After School Program for K-12 students. It is our hope at Chalice to find our way to right relationship with local tribes.
By lighting our chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. The flaming chalice was first used during World War II by the Unitarian Service Committee as a symbol of life-saving refuge for people fleeing persecution in Europe. In honor of our multi-generational community, we invite everyone here with a birthday this month to come forward, as you are willing and able, so we may sing a happy birthday song to you. We know we have around a dozen or so congregants with an October birthday. Are some of you joining us today?
To invite you to join me in the hand motions of our embodied affirmation. We are Unitarian, Universalist, Church of the Open Minds, Loving Hearts, and Helping Hands.
remember me. Though I have to say goodbye, remember me. Don't let it make you cry, for even if I'm far away, I hold you in my heart. I sing a secret song to you each night we are apart.
Remember me, though I have to travel far. Remember me, each time you hear a sad guitar. Know that I'm with you the only way that I can be, until you're in my arms again. Remember me. Remember me, though I have to say goodbye. Remember me, don't let it make you cry, for even if I'm far away, I hold you in my arms. I sing a secret song to you each night we are apart. Remember me, though I have to travel far. Remember me, each time you hear a sad guitar. Know that I'm with you the only way that I can be, until you're in my arms again.
The words of our call to worship come from the Reverend Christina Shu. The ritual of welcoming and honoring ancestors is an ancient spiritual practice found in many cultures and traditions. Thus, we begin our time together paying tribute and expressing gratitude to our ancestors. From our histories, our ancestors call to us asking whence we come and how and whither. We are grateful for their gifts, their lessons, and their challenge, calling us into accountability and responsibility to fulfill their hopes and aspirations for what they dreamed be ours to do. We call on and invoke our parents, grandparents, aunties, and uncles, our siblings from across time and place to be here with us. We call on the early Unitarians and Universalists, lay people and ordained ministers who brought our faith tradition to California and the Pacific Southwest. We call on ancestors of Chalice Congregation who built, grew, and dreamed this church and this community into being. We call on those who represent peoples of the San Diego region, those who strove to build beloved community, representing diverse cultures and traditions, including the indigenous peoples of different tribes. We call upon our activist ancestors, those who struggled for justice, freedom, and liberation of all people, who challenge us to honor the fullness of each and every human being. We especially lift up those who have battled the racism and oppression right here in Escondido, which is still alive today. They ask us to join the ongoing struggle to make this city whole. We call upon and honor the beauty of the earth, this particular part of creation that this church ministers in, the beauty of Lake Hodges, Bernardo Mountain, Elfin Forest, and the San Dieguito River Valley, our interconnectedness to nature and to the history of the land itself. Now I ask you to call to your mind your own particular ancestors, family roots, spiritual mentors and guides. Each one of us brings into the room our own network of people and place. We have welcomed this great cloud of witnesses to join us for this morning. Can you feel them? May our ancestors guide us on our way. May they bless this space and time and the work we are about to do. Please, everyone, join in saying, "Ancestors be with us." Ancestors be with us. May it be so. You're invited to rise in body or spirit to join in singing.
Our hymn of the month is number 1012 in the Teal hymnal, "When I Am Frightened." We've sung this hymn at each service this month to help us get to know the hymn and feel more comfortable singing it. Please join in singing. When I am frightened, will you reassure me? When I'm uncertain, will you hold my hand? Will you be strong for me? Sing to me quietly. Will you share some of your stories with me? If you will show me compassion, then I may learn to care as you do. Then I may learn to care. When I am angry, will you still embrace me? When I am thoughtless, will you understand? Will you believe in me? Stand by me willingly. Will you share some of your questions with me? If you will show me acceptance, then I may learn to give as you do. Then I may learn to give. When I am troubled, will you listen to me? When I am lonely, will you be my friend? Will you be there for me? Comfort me tenderly. Will you share some of your feelings with me? If you will show me commitment, then I may learn to love as you do. Then I may learn to love.
Whenever we gather together, there will be those among us who are joyful with happy news, as well as those who are grieving or in distress. Our challenge at any gathering is how to honor joy and sorrow together. At this time, we invite anyone with a joy or sorrow here in the chapel to come forward and light a candle at our altar. Parents, please assist your children who would like to light a candle. Our congregants online are welcome to share joys and sorrows with each other in the chat box, and also to light a candle of your own in joy or sorrow at home. And Reverend Sharon will lead us in singing.
this joy, all this sorrow, all this promise, all this pain, such is life, such is being, such is spirit, such is love, all this joy, all this sorrow, all this promise, all this pain, such is life, such is being, such is spirit, such is love, all this joy, all this sorrow, all this promise, all this pain, such is life, such is being, such is spirit, such is love, all this joy, all this sorrow, all this promise, all this pain, such is life, such is being, such is spirit, such is love, all this joy, all this sorrow, all this promise, all this pain, such is life, such is being, such is spirit, such is love. One more time. All this joy, all this sorrow, all this promise, all this pain, such is life, such is being, such is spirit, such is love. Now I'd like to invite the children, young people, and anyone who would like to come forward to enjoy a story. Our story is called The Keeping Quilt, written and illustrated by Patricia Polacco. When my great-grandma Anna came to America, she wore the same thick overcoat and big boots she had worn for farm work. But her family weren't dirt farmers anymore. In New York City, her father's work was hauling things on a wagon, and the rest of the family made artificial flowers all day. Everyone was in a hurry, and it was so crowded, not like back home Russia. But all the same, it was their home, and most of their neighbors were just like them. When Anna went to school, English sounded to her like pebbles dropping into shallow water. Shh, shh, shh. In 6 months, she was speaking English. Her parents almost never learned, so she spoke English for them, too. The only things she had left of back home Russia were her dress and babushka she liked to throw up into the air when she was dancing. And her dress was getting too small. After her mother had sewn her a new one, she took her old dress and babushka. Then from a basket of old clothes she took Uncle Vladimir's shirt, Aunt Havala's nightdress, and an apron of Aunt Natasha's. "We will make a quilt to help us always remember home," Anna's mother said. "It will be like having the family in back home Russia dance around us at night." And so it was. Anna's mother invited all the neighborhood ladies. They cut out animals and flowers from the scraps of clothing. Anna kept the needles threaded and handed them to the ladies as they needed them. The border of the quilt was made of Anna's babushka. On Friday nights, Anna's mother would say the prayers that started the Sabbath. The family ate challah and chicken soup. The quilt was the tablecloth. Anna grew up and fell in love with great-grandpa Sasha. To show he wanted to be her husband, he gave Anna a gold coin, a dried flower, and a piece of rock salt, all tied into a linen handkerchief. The gold was for wealth, the flower for love, and the salt so their lives would have flavor. She accepted the hanky, and they were engaged. Under the wedding chuppah, Anna and Sasha promised each other love and understanding. After the wedding, the men and women celebrated separately. When my grandma Carla was born, Anna wrapped her daughter in the quilt to welcome her warmly into the world. Carla was given a gift of gold, flour, salt, and bread. Gold so she would never know poverty, a flower so she would always know love, salt so her life would always have flavor, and bread so that she would never know hunger. Carla learned to keep the Sabbath and to cook and clean and do washing. "Married you'll be someday," Anna told Carla, and again the quilt became a wedding chuppah, this time for Carla's wedding to Grandpa George. Men and women celebrated together, but they still did not dance together. In Carla's wedding bouquet were a gold coin, bread, and salt. Carla and George moved to a farm in Michigan, and Great-Grandma Anna came to live with them. The quilt once again wrapped a new little girl, Mary Ellen. Mary Ellen called Anna Lady Grandma. She had grown very old and was sick a lot of the time. The quilt kept her legs warm. On Anna's 98th birthday, the cake was a kulik, a rich cake with raisins and candied fruit in it. When Great-Grandma Anna died, prayers were said to lift her soul to heaven. My mother, Mary Ellen, was now grown up. When Mary Ellen left home, she took the quilt with her. When she became a bride, the quilt became her chuppah. For the first time, friends who were not Jews came to the wedding. My mother wore a suit, but in her bouquet were gold, bread, and salt. The quilt welcomed me, Patricia, into the world. And it was the tablecloth for my first birthday party. At night, I would trace my fingers around the edges of each animal on the quilt before I went to sleep. I told my mother stories about the animals on the quilt. She told me whose sleeve had made the horse, whose apron had made the chicken, whose dress had made the flowers, and whose babushka went around the edge of the quilt. The quilt was a pretend cape when I was in the bull ring, or sometimes a tent in the steaming Amazon jungle. At my wedding, men and women danced together. In my bouquet were gold, bread, and salt, and a sprinkle of wine, so I would always know laughter. 20 years ago, I held Tracy Denise in the quilt for the first time. Someday she, too, will leave home, and she will take the quilt with her. The wheel of the year turns again. Summer is behind us now, somewhat, maybe not this week. But in general, our cooler days, our cooler mornings for sure, mark the beginning of our coming rainy season, and the days do indeed grow shorter. As with many holidays, Christian and pagan traditions overlap this time of year, all of them honoring our ancestors, our beloved dead. In pagan traditions, this is the season of Samhain, the third and final harvest holiday of the wheel of the year. At this time of year, pagans honor our ancestors with ritual and feasting, asking for blessings and for guidance. In the Catholic tradition, All Saints' Day and the Feast of All Souls are November 1st and 2nd, both commemorating the faithful departed. The secular holiday of Halloween has evolved from these Christian and pagan traditions, which is why images of ghosts, witches, skeletons, and cemeteries figure so prominently. In Mexico, the Catholic holy days have become a unique cultural celebration, Day of the Dead, Dia de Muertos. This is one of Mexico's most important holidays, a time to remember loved ones now gone. Families prepare favorite foods of the departed and picnic at their graves. They adorn the graves with marigolds, the traditional flower of the dead, and strew paths of petals to lead the spirits to the offerings. People dance, sing, and share memories of their loved ones, welcoming their spirits, who are thought to return briefly to take part in the celebration. Our worship service today honors all these traditions in the recognition that our beloved dead are not gone at all, but are with us still. Now, as the wheel of the year turns to Samhain, Samhain is the midpoint between the fall equinox and the winter solstice. Although Halloween is on Tuesday, the true cross-quarter day between equinox and solstice is still over a week away. It would be appropriate for you to observe Samhain next Monday or Tuesday evening, November 6th and 7th. So if you don't have your ancestor altar up, there's still time. This time of year, the veil between the world of the living and the world of the dead is said to be thin. Now is the traditional time to remember and celebrate and honor those who have gone before us, those family and friends, teachers and guides who have meant so much to us. Who and how they were has shaped who and how we are. I have felt inspired this year to put more family photos up on my walls, photos of my grandparents and great-grandparents. I also, just this week, put up a photo of my mother with her sister, my Aunt Barbara. They have both died in the past few years. It has been said that there are three kinds of ancestors. First, our blood family, who are those who are biological kin, parents, and grandparents back through generations. Even if you do not know their names or their stories, you are still connected to those who have come before you. At the same time, please always remember, you do not have to honor and celebrate blood family who may have caused you harm or wished you ill. Honoring our ancestors is meant to strengthen our connection with those whose love for us is a continued blessing in our lives. The second kind of ancestor, the family of milk and honey, those who have nourished and loved us through choice, not blood relationship. These can be adopted family, friends, relatives of relatives, neighbors, in-laws. And the third kind of family, our spirit family. These are people who have taught and guided us. They might be teachers we have known in person, ministers, professors, mentors, co-workers. They might be teachers whose work has shaped who we are. Prophets, activists, poets, musicians, writers. These are the Unitarians and Universalists and Unitarian Universalists who have gone before us, those whose commitment to our faith have helped bring us to today. William Ellery Channing, Olympia Brown, Carolyn Owen Toll. Blood family, family of milk and honey, spirit family. All these and more are the ancestors we honor, celebrate, and most of all, remember this time of year. So, take a breath with me. Now is the time for our remembering. Today we call our beloved dead a naming ritual. The power of naming, of knowing and expressing someone's name, is ancient and stretches across faith traditions. You're invited in just a moment to share the names of whomever you carry with you. Ancestors, friends, recent losses, ancient losses. Those here in the chapel are invited to come up and speak into our microphone. Those who are online may type your names in the chat box, and then I will speak them here in the chapel. Our beloved dead are not gone at all, but still with us, and we call their names. I call the names of Chalice members lost in the past year. Ann Schrader, Don Anderson, Bruce Campbell, Jean Troxel, Richard Kortz, and now I call the names of my beloved dead. Alice Wylie, Charles Wilson, Barbara Crombie, Hannah and Elmer Wilson, Charles and Frances Wylie. You're invited up.
Tom and Mary Jo Hayes, Ruth and Jim Stokes, and my Uncle Jimmy.
Wally and Irene Simpson, my brother Greg and my sister Gail, and my friend Annette McGrew.
My Uncle Van Porter, who showed me that people in my family can go to college, and my Aunt Hazel Street, who always believed me and showed me how an independent woman can live.
My father, Bill Pugh, and my brother-in-law, Frank Rodriguez.
My brothers, Robert and William Hall. My parents, Clyde and Hilda Hall.
My grandmother, Florence Ann.
my uncle Octavio and my grandma who died of cancer.
Ted Davis, also known as Daddy. Gary Cagle, and Joe Galley.
This piece I'm going to sing for you, Allerseelen, is a German lied or German song written by Richard Strauss with a poem by Hermann von Gilm. And the translation is All Souls Day. And the poem reads, "Put on the table the fragrant mignonette, carry the last red asters here, and let us again talk of love like once in May. Give me your hand that I might secretly press it, and if anyone sees it, it makes no difference to me. Give me only one of your sweet glances, like once in May. Today it blossoms and smells sweet on each grave. One day in the year, indeed, the dead are free. Come to my heart that I might have you again, like once in May." Tim warned me. Okay. Stell auf den Tisch
morning we've heard the story of the keeping quilt, passed down through the generations, used in different ways. A tablecloth, a baby blanket, a wedding hoopah. In the same way, we inherit gifts from our ancestors, from our friends, from our chosen family, and we take these gifts and make them our own. Some of these gifts might be material, and some of them less tangible. My grandmother's determination, my mother's love of reading, my uncle's interest in politics. All these live on in me. And I have my own gifts to give the next generations. My love of tea drinking, my love of church, my hopeless rooting for the Padres. This is what we mean when we talk about legacy. So I invite you to consider these questions. What gifts have you received? What gifts will you pass on? And we're going to write our answers down onto some squares, and we're going to make our own quilt hanging there on the low divider. For those online, you're welcome to type your words into the chat, and we'll get them written down and added to our quilt. So I'm hoping that some of our younger congregants will help hand out papers and pens and crayons, and if you don't feel like you have something you want to write down in words, drawing is welcome as well. So you're welcome to, this will be a little bit, it's okay, this is going to be a little bit chaotic. That's okay. So we're writing things on paper and we're putting our paper together on other paper. And we'll get it organized later on and quilt looking, and I think we'll hang it in the hub for a while. So you're invited to come forward. I feel strongly that there must be 2 or 3 people in the room who feel a call to organize that. So you may reveal yourselves after the service. We'll add tape to our Post-it notes to keep them in place a little bit, and we'll move those to a wall in the hub. Thank you for helping make our beautiful quilt. May we know ourselves blessed by legacies of love and care. And may we be a blessing of love and care to the generations that come after us. Blessed be.
The Sunday offering is an expression of the generosity that makes our congregational life possible. As Buddhist teacher Joseph Goldstein has said, it's important to understand that generosity is a practice. It's not just a single event. It's a quality in our hearts and minds that we can develop and cultivate. Please text your donation to Chalice. If you haven't texted a donation before, know that once you've texted the amount, you'll get a reply with a link to follow to enter your credit card. If you have already entered this information previously when you've donated, you won't need to enter it again. If your Sunday donation is meant to be a part of your pledge payment, please be sure to indicate pledge after the dollar amount. The phone number for text donations will be on screen in a moment. If you prefer to make an in-person donation of cash or check, there are envelopes and a donation box to the left of the chapel double doors. You can leave those donations after the service. Please give generously. Dedicating our offering with words of affirmation. We give to the work of Chalice Congregation. Our work weaves the fabric of love called community. To this end, we dedicate ourselves, and this our offering.
Please rise and body your spirit to sing together hymn number 14, Building Our Future Generation to Generation from Songs of Grace. Sing of those who are here together, speak of those who are gone. Tell of days that were deep in struggle, times where nights were too long. Sing for hope to lift wounded spirits, pray for love to be strong. Building our future, generation to generation. Tell the stories of worthy sages, listen well to the young. Read the wisdom of sacred pages, hear the truth in each song. Learn of women and men of courage whose foundations were strong. Building our future, generations to generation. Seek a path where all life is valued, find the truth that is yours. Journey on through the deepest places, treasure love that endures. Raise a song for the gift of living, share commitment that cures. Building our future, generation to generation.
Our book this morning is called Lifetimes by Brian Maloney and Robert Ingpen. There is a beginning and an ending for everything that is alive. In between is living. All around us, everywhere, beginnings and endings are going on all the time. With living in between. This is true for all living things, for plants, for people, for birds, for fish, for trees, for animals, even for the tiniest insect. Nothing that is alive goes on living forever. How long it lives depends upon what it is and what happens while it is living. Sometimes living things become ill or they get hurt. Mostly, of course, they get better again. But there are times when they are so badly hurt or they are so ill that they die because they can no longer stay alive. This can happen when they are young or old or anywhere in between. It may be sad, but it is the way of all things, and it is true for everything that is alive. For plants, for people, for birds, for fish, for trees, for animals, even for the tiniest insect. There are lots of living things in our world. Each one has its own special lifetime. Trees that are tall and strong grow slowly, standing in the sunshine and in the rain. Some of them live for a very long time indeed, as long as 100 years or more. That is their lifetime. Rabbits and mice grow up in only a few weeks. Then they go on to live for a year or two, crunching up carrots and nibbling at cheese, until they grow old and very tired, and it is their time to die. That is how it happens to be for rabbits and mice. It is the way they live, and it is their lifetime. Flowers and vegetables planted as seeds at the beginning of spring when the earth is warm grow quickly to live through the heat of summer. The days pass, and they become old during autumn when it is cooler. Then, when winter comes and it is cold, they die. It is the way they live. That is their lifetime. Butterflies live as butterflies for only a few weeks. Once they have dried their wings, they flutter and flit from leaf to flower. At first, they are bright and quick, but as time passes, they begin to slow down until finally they can go no further. They rest for a while, and then they die. That is the way butterflies live, and that is their lifetime. Birds grow up quite quickly, too. It is often no more than a few months from the time they hatch until they are strong enough to fly and feed themselves. How long they live after that seems to depend upon their size. Mostly, the bigger they are, the longer they will be alive. That is the way birds live, some for as long as 50 years, others no more than 2 or 3. But however long, it is their lifetime for each one. Fish swimming in lakes and rivers or in the sea can be so tiny it is hard to tell that they are there at all, or so big that the only way to describe them is enormous. Again, as far as we know, it seems that the smaller they are, the shorter will be their lifetime. But that is how it is for fish. Their lives can be as little as a day or so, or as long as 80 or 90 years. It is the way they live, and those are their lifetimes. And people? Well, like everything else that is alive, people have lifetimes too. They live for about 60 or 70 years, sometimes even longer, doing all the things that people do, like growing up and being grown up. It can happen, though, just as it does with all other living things, that people become ill or they get hurt. Mostly, of course, they get better again. But there are times when they are so badly hurt or they are so ill that they die because they can no longer stay alive. It may be sad, but that is how it is for people. It is the way they live, and it is their lifetime. So no matter how long they are or how short, lifetimes are really all the same. They have beginnings and endings, and there is living in between. That is how things are, for plants, for people, for birds, for fish, for animals, even for the tiniest insects. Everywhere. Our book.
Please rise and body your spirit to join together in singing hymn 1001 in the Teal hymnal, Breaths. Listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath where the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Those who have died have never, never left. The dead are not under the earth. They are in the rustling trees. They are in the groaning woods. They are in the crying grass. They are in the moaning rocks. The dead are not under the earth. So listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often ancestors' breath, in the voice of the waters. Those who have died have never, never left. The dead have a pact with the living. They are in the woman's breast. They are in the wailing child. They are with us in our homes. They are with us in this ground. The dead have a pact with the living. So listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters.
Our closing words come from Lee Huber. Lighting a candle is somewhat like the beginning of life. If that is true, then perhaps extinguishing a candle is like the ending of life. But death may not be the end of us. We live on in the memories of friends and loved ones. The influence we possessed in life works on, moving persons or causes forward. Let us not forget that most candles have more than one life, and so perhaps may we. Love and blessings to each of you. You are invited to close our time by singing the well, and after our closing hymn, please return to your seats for an announcement.
Drink from the well together, cool, cool water that quenches my thirst. A thirst for justice, a thirst for joy, a thirst for a love that we're all a part of. We drink from the well. We drink from the well together. Hand in hand we are standing as one, standing for justice, standing for joy, stand for a love that we're all a part of. We drink from the well. Open the doors to the world outside, spirits renewed from within. Look for the dream in each other's eyes, the spark where a new world begins. Yes, we drink from the well together. Heart to heart we are dancing as one, dancing for justice, dancing for joy, dance for a love that we're all a part of. We drink from the well, spirits renewed. Drink from the well, stand hand in hand. Drink from the well, dancing for joy. I feel my heart swell. We drink from the well.
So I hate to bring up this particular December holiday when Halloween hasn't even happened yet, because I think that's kind of against the rules. But we are going to be doing a holiday sponsor a family this year. So this is a program through Interfaith Community Services, and we have are adopting or sponsoring a family of 4. Maria, who's a single mom, she's a veteran, hasn't been receiving any veterans benefits. She fell behind on her rent and has other financial problems, and the case managers at Interfaith are helping her and her family. She has 3 children, a boy that's 7 and 2 girls that are 16 and 18. So we have decided to sponsor them this holiday season. So we ask that you please bring an unwrapped new gift to Chalice. You can do this on any Sunday from starting next week through December 3rd. You'll be receiving an email with a Sign Up Genius link. So you just press on that link and it takes you to the Sign Up Genius, and you can see what they're asking for, and you can just choose an item and pick that up and then bring it in, and we'll make sure that they get that. So I really hope that everybody will participate. It's a really great way to show the spirit of the holiday season. Thank you.
Our social hour will begin in a few minutes on the courtyard and online at this same Zoom link. Those of you in person may want to bring your refreshments into the Blue Room and have a visit with our online congregants. Reverend Sharon and I look forward to greeting you at the chapel double doors to hear how the service was meaningful to you. Go in peace.